AlphaFold is a system that was created by DeepMind, and the guy who created DeepMind company is the one who got Nobel for biology.
So now AIs will get all the Nobel awards.
Of course, driverless Uber cars that are operating on streets. Now the question is the following. They are claimed to be 99.9% accurate, but there is still 0.01% chance that they would create an accident. Suppose we had infinite surplus of food and clothing and shelter and everything. Do you think we need jobs?
So on the contrary, the AIs are taking jobs. Where can it create jobs?
Education will become personalized.
Okay.
So it will no longer be 100 people sitting and one person, because see, as I said, one of the biggest advantages of these kinds of systems is that you can scale them.
Is that a possibility? Now quantum will add more problems, or will it solve?
Just 3 weeks back, there was a long-standing mathematics problem that was there. Okay, a mathematician solved it using AI, and he wrote a paper where AI was a co-author. The ability to think about future. None of the animals have this ability. They can't think future. Human beings can think future. The second thing is our impeccable capability to survive will make us survive. So some new world order will emerge.
So that
I would even go one step further and say that anything that has to do with knowledge is not going to help you.
I wanted a smiling picture. I couldn't find anywhere the
So you
smiling.
asked,
I asked this, make him smile, and put a coat. He was in some other dress and I couldn't get, and it could do everything, and it looks.
Don't change my face now in this video.
Welcome to MKR Unplugged, another interesting episode on the tech. And today we are talking about this subject, that is AI versus humans. Who wins the job race? To talk about this and give us all the details, we have with us eminent scientist who works in Indian Institute of Science, Dr. Prathosh is with us. Dr. Prathosh, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Today we have lot of problems. In fact, we as a financial advisory company, we handle lot of tech people who are in senior jobs, and they all have this worry because we are seeing huge growth in the AI space, and there is a threat. A lot of people actually have got into notices and scale down of the employee size, and today AI has become a threat. While it is wonderful for youngsters to use this application for low cost and create lots of content and do lot of things, be it language models or be it data analysis, automation. While on one side it is wonderful thing that is happening in terms of tech revolution with artificial intelligence, on the other side there is a huge threat for people who are well settled and they have a worry, what is the future? So there is a lot of apprehension about whether I will continue to be in this job or not. So my first question is this threat about the AI losing jobs to the new technology, is it real?
Okay. So first of all, thanks for having me and giving me an opportunity to share my opinion. So if I have to answer that question in a word, I would say yes.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's my opinion, right? So everything that I say here are my opinions, and nobody can predict the future. And who else than you know better about unpredictability of future, because you deal with markets and finances.
Right.
People can't predict futures, but all of us can give us some expert opinions and our own educated guesses on what the future lies, what the future holds for us. And my opinion is that the threat is very real. Okay. So let me elaborate what I mean by that. See, if you look at how human technology or science has progressed over centuries, so every time there is a particular inflection point in science and technology happens, the economic landscape of the world will go through a very drastic shift. So let's take the example of the Industrial Revolution that happened, right, in the medieval period. So before Industrial Revolution, the people who were valued were the ones who had a lot of muscular power, because if you could lift a lot of weight, if you could push things and objects,
physical labor
was valued.
Yeah.
Now come machines and industrial revolutions. these machines could do what a human being can do or could do with orders of magnitude more efficiency with lesser cost. So what happened is the power or the value system shifted from being with people who with a lot of muscular power to factory owners, people who could own factories and control these machines. Now from there to now, we thought the entire economy was built around knowledge and
Correct.
information deficit.
Absolutely.
Right. So if you look at all businesses in this world, they are mostly built around information. I mean, capitalizing the information asymmetry, as it is called. So there is an asymmetry in the information. You have an information that I don't have. So therefore, some value flows from you to me. And knowledge was considered something that is unique, and intelligence was considered something unique. Now, come 2025 and large language models and AIs, so that is undergoing a major shift, in the sense that just like physical labor was designated to machines that could do much better than the physical people, now these machines, so to speak, can now think much more in a way that is much more better than what human beings can, and they could be much more efficient. Now, in these 300-400 years since industrial evolution to today, we thought that being smart and intelligent was something that is of value. Now today it's no longer a value. If you can compare that with, if today somebody says that I can lift 100 kgs, so it is only celebrated as a sport, right, as a recreational activity, but you can't make an economy out of physical
Correct.
labor.
Absolutely.
Similarly, today most of the economy, right, is built upon intellectual labor. So that will go away, or rather that will have a lot less value than what it is today, because machines can think in a much better way than compared to human beings.
If I can understand this, basically what you're saying, the 90s, what we see, the rise of the Infosys or the Wipros, where the coders, the people who could write a program, that was considered a great skill and the knowledge, and those who could write those banking softwares and manage those large transactions were considered the high knowledge, and we also see the flight of the knowledge capital from India to Europe and US, and lots of flourishing wealth. Lots of people who were good in engineering, good in coding, they could make their careers. And do you think that is being targeted now with the knowledge taken away?
No, that is one of the sectors that gets affected,
Okay.
but it is not the only sector. See, that's
Okay.
why I was general when I said that anything that is based on knowledge now can be done much efficiently using AI. So why only coding? Right? Coding is one of the skills that you could acquire using your intelligence, right? But think of everything else. So now artists, people who can create, right? And the professions were made based on creative art, right? A lot of profession was created around art. People were writing, so there were technical writers, and there were reporters, there were translators, right? You name a job where human intellect is used, all that can be designated to machines today. So why only coding? Of course, coding is one of the skills that would definitely get affected, as they say, right? In our mythology, there is the story of Bhasmasura, right? So it's like this, we are the people, or rather technologists are the people who created it. So the biggest application of AI today is in software industry, and it will start from gobbling technologies and then go to the other sector of knowledge economy. So anything, today teachers can be replaced, people who can stenographers can be replaced, right? And software engineers and coders can be replaced, lawyers can be replaced, translators can be replaced. Now you name a profession, right, where human intelligence
So
has
the content creators, the designers, probably video is yet to come, not much on
it's already there. It's already there. Now basically any human skill that requires some bit of intelligence, indulgence of some intelligence into it, can now be designated to machines. So now you tell me a profession, right, that requires some element of intelligence that can be designated to machines today. And of course, software engineering is one definite field where AI can be used, because amongst all the human knowledge endeavors, computer programming is an area which is much more structured. So there's a lot of structure in computer programming. Math, for instance. So
Maths.
you might have heard that very recently an AI system built by Google, so it got gold medal in the most difficult exam that human race has come up with, which is called International Mathematics Olympiad, IMO. So IMO is an examination which is considered to be toughest in the world, and AI reached gold medal performance there. So now, if it's concerned with something that has to do with deep thinking and reasoning, of which mathematics is an example, computer programming is an example, those are the fields that are most affected, because reasoning and thinking and intelligence, where there is some structure to it, is the one that comes very natural to these. I mean, if I can use that word natural, it comes very natural to these AI systems because they are built to reason, they are built to solve coding and math problems. They are See, in fact, today, if you are following what's happening across the globe, entire end-to-end software systems, starting from design to architecture to test, the coding to testing, can be automated.
Correct.
Now, something that was being done with a team of let's say 20, 30, 50 people now can be done using AI. The other advantage of these systems is these are scalable. Let me give you an analogy of the industrial evolution that we were talking about. Now, how much weight a human being can lift? So there's a limit to
There's a
it.
limit. Yes.
No matter how strengthy you are, there's a limit to how much weight you can lift. Now, if I designate that same thing to a machine, then how much weight a crane can lift, for instance?
As much as you can increase its capacity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are scalable. So just like that, the capacity of these AI systems are scalable. You just need more compute and more data. This can scale. Now I keep joking with my students always that if I give you a choice to choose between a human being, a human employee that can think and has a limited thinking capability and complains that his or her increments are not coming and he's not well because of whatever reasons and all that, there is another system that is 100x more capable, does not complain. You ask the same question 100 times, it answers in 100 different polite ways, and it can scale. Which one do you choose? So in a capitalistic economy, you would choose the one that has the highest benefit, right? You have to maximize the profit. That's the way the world works.
Correct.
Now, why would you choose human beings? As to give an example, I recently started a company where we are trying to build some AI agents to actually make some of these jobs automated, incidentally, and we don't hire people.
Oh.
So
So it is the agentic applications codes that it will take care of the.
So we have people, of
We have
course,
people.
right? But
Less.
very less, orders of magnitude less. Again, if you want to get that go back to that analogy, go back to that analogy. If you were to build a building which is large, a structure that is large, you needed hundreds of people to work. Now, do you need hundreds of people to work? You don't. I mean, you have these machines that can lift for you, right?
So I built this 5-floor office come house, and it just happened somebody came just like you pipe the water on the 5th floor, they're piping the concrete.
So you see, that's exactly the same thing is going to happen to knowledge economy. More efficient, more capable, right, and scalable, in the sense that cost-wise scalable, right? I mean, instead of spending that much of money on a team of 50 people, I can get two AI systems working at a fraction of cost, but being 100 times more efficient. Which one do you choose? The choice is obvious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the businesses will always look for cutting down the cost and where it works for them to sustain, because that's again a question of survival for the business.
Correct. So it's inevitable in my opinion.
But it's very scary, Dr. Prathosh, when I look at this. Now, I want to understand because a lot of times, since you are in the industry, you are teaching as well as you know exactly what is technically happening. Because though we read the news and analyze, unless I myself know where it is going in the next two, probably someone who is in the field, in the knowledge of the things, what is coming in the next 1-2 years, where this growth is going to go and how soon these things are taking proper shape, and at what rate people are likely to be removed from their jobs probably, that you may have an idea. So before getting into that, I just want to understand, how does the AI industry look like today? Because we have major players from US and probably China. How does it look like the currently industry? Who will rule this industry?
Yeah. So I keep going back to that industrial evolution example, because it's very relatable.
Okay.
Now, before machines came, power was vested in people who could control a lot of labor,
Yeah.
right? Landlords, or people who could have a lot of slaves, and people who could control a lot of human power.
Huh.
When machines came, so it shifted from those people to factory owners,
Correct.
right?
So they had a lot of capital to kind of
No,
take
no,
care of
it just went to factory owners, people
factory owners.
who could own those machines and build
Okay.
factories.
Build factories.
Basically, people who could own those machines. Similarly, now the power will shift from people who could think. It was actually, I mean, it's a, I don't know, I don't want to be judgmental, sounding judgmental, but there's a sort of decentralization that has happened because of knowledge economy, right? I mean, as you rightly pointed out, India was the world capital of services, IT services, and a lot of people made their
Fortunes, livelihoods.
livelihood because of
And
that.
in fact, real estate prices gone up in all the metro
Yeah,
cities.
that I'm not
Probably.
aware of. But the point is, decentralization of economy happened because of this. Now the reverse will happen. Now it will get concentrated. So it will get concentrated within the people who could build this, who can build these AIs. Right, as you rightly pointed out, the Western countries are in the forefront, specifically the US, and Chinese are catching up. We are trying to do stuff as a country, and as I'm personally part of some of these projects that government has invested in to build sovereign AI. But as you rightly pointed out, the power is now going to shift to people who can build these systems and control these systems. It's the OpenAIs of the world and Googles of the world. They are the ones who are building this, and now it will become so ubiquitous, these AI systems, that it will have an impact on every walk of the human life, and they are the ones who are going to set narratives and control what's going to happen as we move on. So technologically, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. uh, as technologists, right, we were not expecting this to happen.
Mm-hmm. Is
Five
it?
Yes, so 5 years before,
Okay.
nobody saw this coming. So this is actually an inflection point. I don't know people will realize this or not, but the thing is, we are witnessing history. We are actually living in an epochal moment. Okay, even people who created foundational algorithms which power these AI systems. I can name. There is one Professor Jeffrey Hinton, who is considered the father of. He got Nobel Prize also. Right? He's the father of AI, modern AI. The professor is still alive. You can hear him talking, fear mongering and saying that he says, I would ask my sons and grandsons to become plumbers, because that's the job that will continue perhaps for a long time. He himself said that he did not see this coming. So technically what happened was, these algorithms existed, but what changed in 2017 2018 time frame is that we had internet explosion, where data became available. So now the kind of data that these things are trained on are internet scale data, they're universe scale data. So basically they are trained on amalgamation of the entirety of human knowledge that is there in internet. So it's like a superhuman that can have expertise in almost all walks of human life, historically speaking. All data has been fed into it. So what changed was availability of large scale data. The other thing was, there's something called Moore's law, where we thought that there's only a limit to how many transistors can be put in a physical space. At the end of the day, all of these are physical devices.
Correct.
But there was a saturation point to it, but that got broken. The ceiling got broken, and people are compressing more and more silicon, more and more transistors in smaller and smaller spaces. So that was possible. So now you have enormous amount of data to process and enormous amount of compute to crunch it. Now that's why companies like NVIDIA have becoming so powerful, because NVIDIA has a monopoly on the kind of computers that are needed to build this AI. Right? Now come marry these two things, and this is exactly what happened. So nobody imagined. See, these algorithms were there. They are all the algorithms that power AI date back to 1960s and 1970s. But what was not there was the scale.
And the data, basically.
The scale. So we
Okay.
were, see, when I was a PhD student, not so long ago, it was only 1 decade back, the number of data points that we were training our AI, so-called AI models, were of order of thousands, 10,000 samples. If there is a data set of 1 lakh samples, it was considered large. Now, ChatGPT, for instance, is trained on trillions of data points. That's the scale. Okay, and the kind of compute that these people throw in to these solving these problems is unprecedented. So nobody saw that if you solve the exact same problem at that scale, intelligence emerges. Now this is a surprise. Even today,
Okay.
technologists don't understand why ChatGPT is working.
Is it?
Yes, we know
So
how.
why it is learning on its own?
Yeah, so we know we know the engineering. We can build one,
Okay.
but we don't know why it is doing what it is doing.
Mhm.
Right? So I mean, even today people don't understand how human brain works.
Correct.
Correct? So there
Correct.
are lots of questions on how human brain is working. Technology has no idea why and how did this happen, but it has happened because of scale. Right? What changed engineering wise was the scale at which these things operate, and suddenly intelligence emerged. So it's called an emergence phenomenon. It emerged, and the interesting part is, to your question, it doesn't seem to be saturating. What I mean
It's
to say
not
is,
like it will end here.
it is not ending. So people are pushing the limits. So every new version of GPT that you see, 3.14, 5 and so on, and there is an arms race that's happening.
Correct.
OpenAI builds a model and Google comes up with some other model, and it keeps,
Then there
there's a
is
race.
Grok and
There's a race.
Elon.
It's arms race, right? And it doesn't seem to be stopping at a point. So every time a new model comes up, there is some new unbelievable emergence that we are observing. New benchmarks are created, new ceilings are broken by every model. So it doesn't seem to be saturating at all, but where does it end? Nobody knows, right? So 1 year back, what was there and now what is there has enormous amount of differences, enormous. We can actually quantify that. There are ways to quantify that. So yeah, I mean it's very, very real. So because
And
I understand what's happening.
adding to that problem is one on the flip side of it. Now we are talking about huge computing and the kind of power and the kind of resources it is required. Maybe it's about the power consumption that it requires, and will that be a limiting factor?
Well, not really. If you read the news, companies are building huge data centers, right? So let me just give you an example, maybe a little technical, but still I'll do it for the sake of understanding. See, these models cannot be trained on this laptop or normal computers. They need specialized computing devices called graphical processing units, abbreviated as GPUs. Okay. Now, what is the number of, I mean, NVIDIA manufactures GPUs, by the way. Okay. Just to give you a rough estimate of cost. Now to train, not train, even to use these kinds of models. Right now when you put a prompt in GPT, it will actually go to their servers. The computation is done on their servers and the result is pumped back into your system.
It's only
the computing is not happening in your local device.
Okay.
It's happening in their cloud, right? Now, what I was saying is, to train these models, right? It takes 8 months of continuous training on, let's say, 100,000 NVIDIA GPUs, or like 10 lakh NVIDIA GPUs. Okay. And one NVIDIA GPUs in Indian rupees now cost 25 lakhs.
Oh.
Okay. And imagine having 10 lakhs of them. Who could own that compute? And companies like Google and OpenAI own that compute. Okay. These are called GPU farms. And they are just throwing more and more compute. And if you look at people like Sam Altman, who is the founder of OpenAI talking, they say we don't mind, he says we don't mind burning money and putting more and more compute and more data. And as I said, it is scaling with the compute. It's not that if you throw more compute, it is saturating. That's not happening. Every time you throw more data and more compute to it, it is getting better and better into it. Right? So limiting factor can be power. One, of course, right, as human beings, we always ask questions and try to answer them. One real concern is, can we reduce? See, to compare it with human brain consumes picowatts of power. Okay, these things consume trillions of watts of power, right? So I mean, of that magnitude. Now, can you compress all of it into a small device, and which does not consume a lot of power, are the kind of questions that people are asking and trying to answer. However, notwithstanding what's happening in terms of power consumption, etc., right now there doesn't seem to be any limit to it. Just going bigger and bigger day after day.
So coming from the victim's point of view, that everybody is a kind of victim to this. Though we are consuming all this comfort of computing and creating content, or doing all automations. End of the day, it is consumed by some people. I mean, and they need to have money to pay for these services. What is there any kind of a safety net? What kind of jobs other than you talked about plumbing and or physical labor wherever it
Even there,
requires?
robots are coming.
Okay.
See, because people thought that building robots was not difficult, mechanical systems were not that difficult. What was difficult was mimicking human intelligence. Now, if human intelligence part is cracked, it's just a matter of time. In fact, as we talk today, robots are being used in real factories to replace physical labor. So, physical labor is not safe as well. Okay. I mean, to answer your questions, my thought process is the following. As I said, these are all my opinions, and there is no I am not here to predict future or anything, but I should give a philosophical answer to your question, right?
Correct.
In the sense that
some kind of a guidance. See, what I'm looking at here is absolutely there is no way we can predict even 1 minute from now.
Yeah.
But the point is that we still continue to have at least 60-70%. If you take in last 10-15 years, we have delivered certain amount of returns to the clients because we expected this way. Maybe 1 year it will go only one. In fact, if you see last 1 year, Nifty delivered hardly 1-2%.
Yeah.
We are in the same level what was Nifty 1 year back.
Yeah.
A lot of clients are unhappy, but if those who have invested 3 years back, they're still at 15%.
Right.
Though one bad year. But that kind of prediction is possible where you have some amount of idea, and this also to help us in terms of to understand what to expect.
Yeah. See, these kinds of things happen if the jump or the volatility is within your prediction band.
Prediction bands.
Now, suppose tomorrow country collapses, none of your predictions work.
Correct.
So it is that kind of an inflection that we are living in. See, it's not some delta change in technology that we are seeing today. It's a real inflection, right? It's something extraordinarily remarkable that has happened.
See, what right? I also see.
Let me complete.
Okay.
Right. So philosophically, what I see is the following: when machines came, okay, there was this group of people called Luddites who went around and started destroying machines. Okay, saying that these are taking our jobs. So let's not have these. They took physical hammers and started hitting these machines. And there was a group of people called Luddites who were doing this as a job, because they said we will save human race from these machines. Same thing is the fear mongering here. So philosophically, what I'm saying is, see, human beings could survive having nuclear weapons. Think about it. It's actually a surprise to me that so many countries are nuclear armed and we are still living today. Why do you think? It's a matter of 5 seconds that all of us are vanished, right, by using nuclear weapons. But we are still surviving. So because there is something innate, right, in human beings that have that survival instinct. Change will happen, for sure. What sort of change will happen, I'm not sure. And I can give you some pointers based on what I think could be the way the world will move forward. However, a drastic change is going to happen, but the silver lining is that human beings have been successful in surviving industrial revolution. They have been successful in surviving nuclear warfare.
Correct.
So they will survive AI revolution as well. We will find ways out.
Correct.
So some way will emerge, but the economy as we know today is going to change. So I keep saying this.
I should first thank you for giving some kind of a comfort that now there is no tomorrow. From that stage, at least you are saying that there is a way.
No, I never said there is no tomorrow, right?
I mean, I'm just saying of the way the AI is taking
it will
shape.
Change. See, economy will change for sure. People will lose job for sure, right? A new economic model will emerge for sure, right? But human beings will survive. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
See, think about it. If you look at the evolution theory of Darwin, right? It is not the strongest genes that survived, because dinosaurs became extinct. They were the strongest people, strongest organisms. So it is not the most venomous that survive. It is not the fastest that survive. What did Darwin say? It is
The
the
one that
fittest.
adapts.
It is the fittest that survives.
Fittest.
Survival of the fittest. So what is the definition of being fit? Definition of being fit is your ability to adapt to changes. Human beings dominated this planet because we are adaptable, right? So if you go and put us in a very cold environment, you said you were in North India last week, right? You survived.
Correct.
We will find ways to survive, right? So it is there. So it is this this signature that human beings have, which is the ability, actually two of them, the ability to think about future. None of the animals have this ability. They can't think future. Human beings can think future. The second thing is our impeccable capability to survive will make us survive. So some new world order will emerge.
Okay.
Definitely will emerge, and I am very hopeful with respect to human race that we would survive, because we have been surviving. We survived ice ages, we survived wars, right? But the generation that subjects itself to this kind of an inflection is bound to suffer. So any extraordinary change that happens in society will have an enormous impact on that generation that is, that's getting subject to that sort of a change. That will happen. So all these skills that we thought are important in previous decades will no longer be any important. So the mantra to survive is to adapt.
Okay. So, because that is what we have been very good at.
Exactly.
That is historically,
Exactly.
and we have
Exactly.
a precedence for that we have survived. So, that gives us some amount of comfort that we will survive, but how we will survive, whether with the same kind of a comfort, or
I can actually tell you something for sure.
Okay.
You can't survive by becoming a programmer anymore. 10 years before people were saying if you learn good programming skills, you would make a career, there is a career for sure. No, it's not happening.
So today there is no definition of what is good career, because we are not sure about
that's a good way to put it.
So that
I would even go one step further and say that anything that has to do with knowledge
Okay.
is not going to help you.
Okay. And that is also repeatable. What the is it not repeatable?
AI is taking over creativity as well.
Creativity.
Yes.
Actually, that was my question.
Yeah.
Is it something that creativity, can AI replace creativity? Do you believe generative AI systems are approaching human level creativity, and where do you see the limits?
Oh yeah, already. Actually, so I don't know if you have used the latest Google's image model called Nano Banana.
Yeah, we have used. In fact, lot of things what we do in other channel, Vedic Wellness, because we define so many things where we don't get visuals.
Yeah.
So where we explain and it creates in seconds.
Yeah. So today I can actually create a picture of myself with Mahatma Gandhi, and you would not say it's a real picture or a fake picture. Now, isn't that creativity?
In fact, I had a picture of one big CEO of a big quantum company. I wanted a smiling picture. I couldn't find anywhere the
So you
smiling.
asked,
I asked this, make him smile, and put a quote. He was in some other dress and I couldn't get, and it could do everything, and it looks.
Don't change my face now in this video.
No, definitely not. That is
so that's creativity for you. See, I'll give you more examples. It can create poetry. See, I have some interest and background in Sanskrit poetry and all that. So you tell you instruct these models to create poetry in Sanskrit language in a very complicated vrutta.
In fact, on this MKR Unplugged, I have launched a AI song on Deepavali, and it created everything lyrics to song in about
Here you go.
2 minutes. But what I'm saying is, again, there are still some of the areas.
Let me give you more serious examples on this. See, last year's Nobel Prize in biology did not go to biologists. It went to computer scientists. The chief of Google DeepMind is the guy who won Nobel Prize for biology. You know why? You know why? He created this AI system, okay, that could discover drugs. Have you heard of a system called AlphaFold? So it's an AI system,
Yes,
okay, that predicts protein, that discovered new proteins that were unknown to human race. If that's not creativity, then what is?
So there is nothing left for humans.
Absolutely. I'm saying IMO, International Mathematics Olympiad, these AIs are getting gold medals. And you know what? Just 2 weeks back.
When you just said, sorry to interrupt, when you just said this particular company, that person created this drug discovery, but that is also a person, right? But is
No,
it?
I'm saying no. He
It's a company?
created a system that created drugs. AlphaFold is a system that was created by DeepMind, and the guy who created DeepMind company is the one who got Nobel for biology.
So no, AIs will get all the Nobel awards.
Of course. See, that's what I was, you interrupted me before. The thing is, just 3 weeks back, there was a long-standing mathematics problem that was there. Okay. A mathematician solved it using AI and he wrote a paper where AI was a co-author. Now, if this is not creativity, then what is? See, I, as a professor of AI, right, in teaching in one of the country's premier institute, I make AI grade the graduate level question papers that I have set for my students.
But what I feel is some of the news reports and all where AI is being used in for commercialization purposes, where it is making some mistakes too.
It does. See, we are continuously improving those things. It's called hallucinations, right? So they will hallucinate. Any human being would do as well. So that's why you need to be, there should be guardrails that have to be put and so on. And we are working towards it. Okay. I mean, building responsible AI systems is a serious area of research, right? You need to build these systems that are responsible. Those are ethical and responsibility questions are always there.
So I have this question related to the ethics that in a world where AI makes decisions and who carries the accountability?
I
is
don't
it
know.
the
It's not
engineer company?
I don't know. I don't know. I always ask this question in my class as well.
Okay.
So there are in San Francisco today as we are talking, there are driverless cars working for Uber. Okay. I don't know if you know that. Right? When people, my students and friends go there, you can book an Uber where there is no driver. Okay, the cars come, you hop into the car, it will take you to wherever.
Is it the pilot or something, or is it?
No, it's a full-fledged commercial thing that Waymo is doing. So there are Uber cars, driverless Uber cars that are operating on streets. Now the question is the following: they are claimed to be 99.9% accurate, but there is still 0.01% chance that they would create an accident. Now the question that you asked rightly so, if it creates an accident, okay, who is responsible? Nobody knows. See, it's for human beings to evolve with a policy that would penalize somebody for this mistake, right? Or we might say that, oh, when AI creates a mistake, nobody is responsible, just let's leave it. But that's a policy question. I'm a practitioner of technology. I can only tell you how powerful this technology is.
But not the ethical or the legal or
exactly, that's not my forte, right? That's for people to come together and governments to come together and answer.
And on the education we today talk about, we don't need teachers and universities. People can learn whichever way, case study wise, any teaching methodology, learning tools. It can be happen to now Gemini and all this Microsoft and Google launching work with universities. But if that knowledge is not going to be useful, my question is, what is the use of people getting and into these different kinds of courses, and is it going to be specified how the education is likely to change? Do you have any kind of an idea?
Yeah, see, I'm a professional pedagogist, right?
Because you are
I teach, and my job is also at stake, right? Because as you rightly said, you can create videos. I mean, there is something called Notebook LM.
Notebook LM we use, yes.
Yeah, so you can give a topic and it will create a podcast on that topic.
Correct.
Right, as two people talking. So, see, I keep saying this. In this era, if somebody tells you that they don't know something because there is no access to information, they are lying. Information is free now. You can get anything. You can get it in your language. See, YouTube today translates videos in real time.
Right.
In real time, right? But now, how would education evolve is the question, right? One thing for sure will happen is that education will become personalized.
Okay.
So it will no longer be 100 people sitting and one person, because see, as I said, one of the biggest advantages of these kinds of systems is that you can scale them. Okay. Now every kid can have a personalized tutor. Okay. Now what would be the role of a teacher, so called, is that they would be like factory managers, somebody managing the machines. So you still have machines, but you have one manager who is looking after all these machines, right? So those kinds of jobs would sustain. So people who manage AI are going to survive.
So on the contrary, the AIs are taking jobs. Where can it create jobs? Because it can be only for few people. Again, what you say is it's not like mass kind of a jobs that it can give, because it is anyway meant for automation and the machines computing to do the jobs. Where can it create actually jobs?
See, when you say that whether it can create jobs, our idea of sustenance and economy only has this thing that we need a job.
Okay.
So think of an economic model where people don't have to work. See, this is the kind of goals that people are talking about when they are building systems. Suppose every work is done by computers. There's no need for you and me to work, no?
Actually, if you go back 100 years, Dr. Prathosh, when the agriculture was the major thing, because food was everything that people wanted.
Correct.
So if you have today, we were working on another model, like why do you need to have a job if you have half a acre land? We worked out the cost and everything, half a acre land, one cow and about 3 or 4 sheep, and there's a specific set of things. If you have,
You can sustain.
you can sustain.
Absolutely. So now again, it's a full circle. It's a full circle. We built an entire economy. I mean, again, this goes to philosophy.
Yeah.
We in my opinion, again,
And
we
there
built,
was no jobs actually. Basically, you sow the seeds 3 months, you leave it, it will come. You cut the fruit. So, is it like what are you trying to suggest? Basically, when you say that you can live, there can be an economy without jobs for you.
yeah. So I'm saying it's a full circle that we are traversing. Okay. So as you rightly said, 300 years back, there were no jobs. Okay. We created a facade, created factories, and we wanted workers there, right? Then we created an economy completely based on services and goods, right? Now, what will the good thing that this AI would do is it will remove all facades.
Hmm.
And it will take back human beings to the core questions. What is it to be a human? What is it to live? So we all thought that we are smart, we have studied computer science, we are doing this, we are artists, we are mathematicians, that's why we are smart. No, this AI is saying no, thank you, sorry, you are not important because you can think. Now it will go to the basic human question, fundamental human questions that were there centuries back, where you ask questions like, what makes me a human? Right? Basic instincts of human beings don't go away. You are hungry, you need to eat, right? You need to protect yourself from predators, and you need to sleep, and basic instincts of human beings are going to exist. Now, somebody has to come up with a parallel economic model where you don't build an economic model based on jobs. You build a model of economy where everybody, if you have, see, let me throw a hypothetical question to you. Suppose we had infinite surplus of food and clothing and shelter and everything. Do you think we need jobs? In fact, there is an interesting experiment that psychologists did on this. It actually ends up in a dystopia. I'll cite this experiment. Very interesting experiment. You can look into it.
Okay.
It's called the mice paradise experiment. What they did was they created a small colony of mice. Okay, put in a lot of them and gave them everything. So they gave food, they gave mates, and there were play areas, and there was this and all that. Okay, then they ingested some intoxicants like LSDs and other drugs. You know what happened? After some time, these mice, they stopped mating, they stopped creating progeny, they all died by overconsumption of drugs. Okay, this is not an accident. They repeated this experiment multiple times with different population of every time the same outcome happened. Now, if you are given everything, there will still be human greed. There will still be things like human ego and so on, right? So people will find ways to create some sort of asymmetry in society, and some new economic model will emerge where that asymmetry is going to be filled. All I'm trying to say is that the economic model as we know today is going to change for sure. I'm 100% sure about it. But what is the model that would emerge is something that I don't know. Okay, it's for policymakers, and we'll have to see what equilibria we will reach out to. But one thing will definitely happen. Knowledge asymmetry is not something that we can capitalize today and create economic model over, and we cannot create jobs because somebody can think, somebody can be smart and do things at an intellectual level. All that will be gone. So some other economic model will emerge, which I don't know what.
The last one I wanted to bring in is, now with the AI, the power requirements and the limitations that this computing has. Now we have this emerging quantum computing with the capabilities of, and also there is research, if I am correct, in terms of battery capabilities, whether it is hydrogen powered batteries, where I don't know whether it is hypothetical or real, where a small battery can power for an aeroplane to kind of this with probably the more research if that was the requirement, because usually it is after the requirement all research happen where you can bring in. Is that a possibility that the research in terms of whether from lithium batteries, now we are talking about lot of hydrogen green things, and is that a possibility now quantum will add more problems or will it solve?
No, it is definitely a possibility and people are moving in that direction, but today it's nascent. You don't have solutions for today, but of course, who knows, things keep changing and technology keeps improving, and it may get improved.
Dr. Prathosh, actually I had lot of questions related to asking you, but after the first 15 minutes itself, now all these questions become very redundant. Now I can't even ask these questions because the very clarity is that there is no human creativity, that
Well, that's an overstatement.
Yeah.
Let's not say it that way. See, if I were to conclude, right, what I would say is that, see, there are two schools. One, you can simply be completely oblivious to everything that's happening and say that AI is a hype and nobody cares about it. The other school is just completely monger fear and say that, oh, it's going to take everything, it's all gone, it's doomsday and all that. See, I'm a realist. You have to operate somewhere in between. Okay, not everything is lost, because we have created something that is enormously powerful. Okay, on the other hand, don't be oblivious. Don't say that it is all hype and this is all fad. Stay somewhere in between. So the way we should approach this problem is that understand and be conversant with the latest of the technologies and be aware of risks and adapt yourself. Start using them. Don't run away from them. Start using these tools and understand and acknowledge the fact that these are much powerful, right? And one question that every human being should be answering or asking themselves is as follows. If you look at it, one thing that has not changed over millennia is that how is economic models built? How is human? If you look at how human societies are created, there's always value, or there's always reward to people who create values, right?
Correct.
And what is definition of value changes over time, but what is always valuable is the skill of problem solving.
Correct.
So just ask yourself this question: what are the problems that exist in your society today and how can you solve it? The moment you start solving problems for human beings around you, they will reward you. That's the way economy works, right? So one question that you should ask yourself is, don't look at tools. AI is a tool. Okay, look at problem solving. Ask yourself this question, that what is the problem that I can solve given that I have this tool which is enormously capable. So that's the question that we should be asking ourselves now.
So that also kind of answers that in which areas you should, since you talked about the personalization of the education. Now today we are talking about educating us on the AI tools or on the possibilities that AI can do for our own knowledge or the skills that is shifting constantly. Because today I may be a software engineer, I might have to be a content creator using AI, I might want to be a music creator using AI, or I want to solve some problem like what you said, which create value.
See, I would cut you off there and say that let's not have labels, music creation, because we don't know what will be taken off. But I would say I would be a problem solver.
Okay.
Right? Today using AI, because that's so powerful, that's the most powerful tool that I can have access to. I would want to make my children or anybody who is upcoming and thinking about their careers problem solvers. So teach people or equip people to solve problems. Now, don't make them somebody who is conversant with a tool.
Okay.
That's the thing that I keep telling my students always.
Tools you can always find.
Exactly, and tools are going to get better and better, and the tools that you have learned today will be oblivious tomorrow, it will be redundant tomorrow. So don't bet your careers on learning a tool.
Right.
Bet your career on your skill of solving problems. So today you are solving, see, that's a transferable skill. Right? The capability of, in fact, I'll tell you more. See, society rewards people who can even recognize problems. Not a lot of people can recognize what problems exist around them.
So yeah, that's a very, very valid thing.
Exactly. You first have to recognize human problems and then solve them. So if this is a skill that you learn, right? I mean, it can be creating a nice garbage-free society or garbage-free road around you, or it can be solving the traffic problem of Bangalore, or it can be solving the problem of human longevity, or solving, coming up with drugs to cancer, for cancer, anything, right? But the idea that remains constant across all of the human endeavor, across millennia, is this idea that anybody who can identify and solve problems for fellow human beings are the ones who will be rewarded, right? Start from your home. See, look at, if you're a student, look at what problems you can solve for the community that you live in, right? Solve a problem for your parents, solve a problem for your spouse, solve a problem for your community. If you do that, use whatever tool, it does not matter. What I'm trying to say is that as technologists, technology has given the world the greatest tool that can exist, right? Which is a capability. I mean, I keep giving this analogy. Think of it like having a genie with you with superhuman capabilities. The question that you should be asking is, will I get redundant with this genie? That's not the question that you should be asking. The question that you should be asking is, given that I have this super capability with me, what problems can I solve for the human race?
It's wonderful.
So if you do that, then this is only seen as an aid. If you are only doing Java programming, you are done, right? But if you are solving problems, now you would tell your boss how to use some existing tool and solve problems, and these are the ones who will become, who will rise the corporate ladder and become CEOs of the company. It's not, see, as you keep, everybody who works in corporate know that, of course, there is politics. I will not talk about that.
Yes.
But in an idealistic world, it's the problem solvers that are always rewarded. So now what you have to learn is a capability to solve problems. Now I'll give you one problem that we have to solve right now. What sort of economic model should we have to come up with to deal with this AI? If you solve this problem, you will get an economic Nobel next year. So here is a problem that you can solve.
So every area is a problem in that case, whether...
Absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. So don't get scared, or don't get intimidated by a tool. See that as an advantage. See that as a new capability that human beings have developed. Now, given this capability, right, what problems can you solve is the question. And of course, every new technology has two sides to it. It will create new problems. See, for example, deep fake is creating all sorts of financial frauds today, right?
Absolutely true.
So now a new problem is created. Now use AI to solve that problem.
Correct.
Every technology.
So there was a plagiarism and all that when it came. Now you have a tool to find how much is actually naturally written and how much is written by the AI.
Yeah, and that's also an AI tool.
AI tool.
Right.
So the last question I had, you almost answered it. That is your prediction. Who actually wins? Coming back to our subject, who actually wins, humans or AI? In one sentence, in this 2026 job race, who holds the advantage and why? Probably you said whoever.
I've already answered it. I don't want to answer it
You
anymore.
already said
right?
It is a value.
See, as long as you see AI as a tool to solve human problems, then human beings will win. Right? If you are a human being who is banking your life on one skill that gets redundant over time, then you would lose. So don't bank your life on one skill. Okay, so always vest your career on your problem solving skills and solve it for human beings around you.
Wonderful. I think very soon I will be doing podcast with the AI scientist and.
Yeah. So our job is at risk, and I would be talking to an AI. So your job is at risk.
So the AI is talking and AI is asking.
Already happening. Notebook LM.
Yes.
Two AIs talking on a topic.
Okay.
Right? They talk better English than us. They
have better sense of humor. We need viewers on YouTube to actually view and pay that subscription for
Perhaps
YouTube.
AI will view it for you.
But I won't pay. I will only take the money.
See,
so there is some kind of a scope. So with that, I think it was wonderful discussion. In fact, I thought of a lot of questions, but most of this turned into something very insightful. I must really thank you for this wonderful thoughts, because one takeaway from this podcast is very, very clear, at least for me, that one, if you want to stay in this, you should be looking at problem solving. And you have to first identify the problem, for which you need to know what exactly is the problem, and then solve. The bigger the problem that you solve, the bigger is
the reward that you get.
The reward that you get.
And use AI to solve that. because it's very powerful.
End of the day, you say you did it. I mean, whatever tools that you use,
Of course,
it is the reward for you.
Exactly right. That's how the human society is created. Finally, humans are rewarded, not AI.
Correct. Absolutely.
Right. So use them as a very powerful tool. I use it all time.
Wonderful. I think we will keep coming back to you, Dr. Prathosh, because
Yes, sir.
as this, you said every year things change. So we would want to take your opinion probably as and when something big happens, as well as the major challenges that we face.
Perhaps next year you'll be talking to an AI for opinion.
Hope so. So that's the podcast today, and you heard Dr. Prathosh talking, and this is something very, very interesting and a big takeaway from today's discussions. Please do share your views. What do you think? Do you think the AI is still a overblown hype, and are you on this extreme, or how many of you are on this extreme saying that it is all nonsense? Let us kind of ignore all these things. Let's live our life, and whatever happens, we will see. And for anything and everything in terms of financial protection, we are there, financial moksha. So if you already have 5-6 crore, 8 crore, 10 crore kind of assets, you can anyway live with the cash flow of 5-6 lakhs rupees. That we will anyway take care through our
Not
advisory.
necessarily. What if the state comes up with a policy and says that all your assets are confiscated? That's for another podcast. So let's.
I think there is a subject of risk and element in that.
I made you perplexed.
Yeah, correct. That's a perplexity. I need to ask this question with perplexity AI. What made me perplexed? So basically, we believe that central government bonds, if you keep the money, whatever you can make out of that 6-7%, as long as the Indian government is stable, their fiscal deficit is taken care of, and the currency don't go to 150 rupees per dollar, so things can still stand. Either way, the advisor is required for you, so that is where our business continue to exist, if despite the AI disruptions.
No,
and
we take advisors from AI for investment as well.
Absolutely. So we are also investing heavily in AI advisory, but end of the day, they need Mohan as somebody to talk, to say, don't worry, it is all going to be fine, your investments are safe. So for that perspective, at least we get paid our fees, and from that thing, please do share your views as to what do you think will happen, and what is that you think the problem areas are. If you think there are certain problems that can be solved, and if you want to talk to us, feel free, because we are also trying to understand what are the great problems that we can solve that can make money for a lot of people. And with that, we'll come back with another interesting thing on the technology. And we have been doing content basically one on technology, then on financial education in terms of money quotient, and we are also looking at the scam protection. Scam guard is one area where because before AI takes your money, some cyber crime will take all your lakhs of rupees. That is something we should protect. So we are doing a lot of educative videos on fraud protection and money protection. So please do continue to watch, and like and share, subscribe this channel. Wonderful. Thanks for watching. Thanks a lot.